right. So, take me through kind of what your goal was for today when you were talking with the Board of Supervisors. Obviously, there's kind of a little backstory to all of this, but at least today, what was your goal?
Well, the board wasn't going to have the opportunity to hear my board letter on sanctuary status, non-sanctuary status for the county. So I wanted to give them the opportunity to at least hear it, and you don't know what's going to occur, but I knew they couldn't vote on it. In fact, what they did was vote a motion to bring it back, and then that was nobody seconded the motion, and then a motion to bring Senate Bill 54 forward at the next board hearing, which is essentially what declares us a non-sanctuary county, is that we would not be in support of Senate Bill 54. I don't know how they'll vote on that. I know that they voted to bring that back, and that's encouraging.
And yeah, obviously, with previous stories with you, I've talked to you about Proposition 47, and it feels like this might be another along that realm.
Well, we had AB 109, we had Prop 47, Prop 57. Now we have Senate Bill 54. We also have Assembly Bill 1578 that's coming right behind this, that prohibits local law enforcement to working with their DEA partners on certain cases. So there's a real hazard to our safety when you start limiting law enforcement's ability to talk to each other, and that's really what this is about. There was a lot of rhetoric at the board today about the people who are in the country illegally, hard workers out there. That wasn't what this is about. They wanted to make it about that because it sells better, but had nothing to do with that. What this has to do with is people that are in our country illegally, who came across the border illegally, who then get into trouble over and over and over again, committing serious crimes. Should they be deported? And I made that statement today. If you don't think those people should be deported, then we don't even need to have a conversation. We can just agree to disagree. But if you do believe that, that's what this was about.
And obviously, you've kind of made or taken the approach, I guess, of I'll go at this alone if I have to.
Yeah.
What about that? Why do you feel, maybe I guess, so strongly about this, especially in your position?
Well, because I raised my hand and I swore to defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California. And we're in an era where they seem to conflict now. And that's not a fair position for sheriffs to be in. So what I will do now is I will write a letter to the President of the United States, to the Governor of California, and both Attorney Generals, clarifying what my position as the sheriff is, and that is that we will not provide sanctuary for criminals in this county.
And yeah, just looking over kind of the newsletter you guys sent out, some of these people who, the sample of charges and criminal history of people who have been detained, you kind of see those, and you see nonviolent, and then you see kind of what's being listed here. Or do you feel there's a misconception that's being shared?
Well, there certainly is. I think when people see that list, they're going to go, well, why would we not want to deport those people? And I've instructed the undersheriff this afternoon to pull up the rest of the ones from April, so it doesn't look like I picked and chose which ones. Let's list all of the people who were taken by ICE in the month of April and deported, and list all those crimes so the public can see what we're talking about. These are not innocent people. They're not, you heard one farmer talk about how he was opposing this because they're the hard workers, and those aren't the people who are coming to jail. Not at all. If an American citizen gets arrested or gets charged with a serious crime and runs to a church and says, I'm going to declare sanctuary, should we allow him to hide in the church? No, we should not. And this is along those same lines. This is not about the hardworking immigrant. Not at all. They have nothing to fear from us. But the fear is coming from the rhetoric that you heard in that room today, which had nothing to do with what we were talking about. That was their canned agenda. And those are all activists. Those aren't the immigrants in this county. Those are activists that have a mission. And it's unfortunate because they're doing it at the expense of the hardworking immigrant.
And probably just the social climate in general right now. It feels like you're one side or you're the other. There is no in between. When you're taking your stance, you've let it be known what you are. There are a lot of people maybe opposed to that. What is your feeling on, do you feel like you have to change people's minds? What is your thought
No, I
process?
respect people's opinion. There was a lot of things said there this morning that really had nothing to do with anything that we were talking about. But I respect the fact that they have the right to stand up and say what they want to say. They have the right to disagree with the sheriff when I make a statement or a proposal. I'm totally okay with that. I'm not going to resort to name calling or being accusatory, because that's how our country is defined, having the right to make those statements. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to change their mind. I'm just telling the board where I want to go, and that I was willing to go it alone, and I'm willing to do that.
So what is next? What is that next step for you?
Well, the letter to the leaders of our country and leaders of our state will address the fact that we will not be a sanctuary for criminals in Kern County. So if the real hazard is if Senate Bill 54 passes and the governor signs it, we're going to be in a real quandary, because I'm going to then have to either violate the law of the state of California, which I do not want to do. I don't want to pick and choose which laws. We had a president that picked and chose which laws we should enforce. I certainly don't want to go down that path. I don't want to be in the middle. I don't want to be an ICE agent. I don't want my deputies out we don't do sweeps. We don't do any of that. All we're doing is saying people that commit serious crimes and get arrested and put into jail, ICE should have the ability to deport them out of our country because they're here illegally. It just makes common sense to me.
And probably my last question, what is the worry if you're looking ahead and worst case scenario, if bill gets passed, you kind of have to decide where you're going? As the sheriff, how worrisome is that's what it could come to?
It's very problematic, because I can't stand up and say that I'm not going to follow the law. Because I'm really, you've heard me before say the laws are the laws, let's follow the laws. If the state of California passes a law like that, I'll get legal advice on from our county council whether I have to follow that law, and what are the ramifications if I don't. And but at the end of the day, I don't write the laws, but I'm sworn to follow the law.
And just one more, I was thinking from today. So you said it will be brought up again, at least that one portion of it. Is that a progress for you? Is that a step? I mean, could you declare maybe today a partial win in terms of getting up there and kind of sharing your feelings?
I didn't look at today as win, lose. I really didn't. I looked at today as, let me give the board of supervisors the information I wanted to give them in a public session. And I didn't ask for a vote or a motion either way. And so this wasn't a win-loss for me. I think at the end of the day, if now that they're going to bring Senate Bill 54 back, and that was on their own volition, that the immigrant community probably is cringing.
Okay. Anything that I didn't ask that you think is important for people to know?
I think you covered it pretty well.
Perfect.